Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a piece of kit that is gaining a lot of popularity. These things didn't really exist 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, but a ton of brands are making them now, and they really come in handy in a lot of situations. So what are we talking about? We are talking about tiny little lights, like this one. Now this is NEEWER's FS60B. A lot of brands are making lights like these, but today we're going to be talking about this one. Yes, they did send me this light for free, and this video is sponsored by NEEWER, but they don't really have any influence on what I'm going to say about this light or how I'm going to use it. Now a lot of brands are making these types of lights. I think Aperture really popularized them with their MC series, but since then these lights keep getting smaller and more powerful. And I think what makes lights like the 60B stand out is that they're actually not battery powered. And you could think of that as a disadvantage, but what they're able to do because of that is make it a lot more powerful. This thing, although it fits in the palm of my hand, packs a serious punch. And there's two main use cases that we're going to talk about that lights like these are great for. That's an edge light, or commonly referred to as a hair light, and a catch light, or commonly referred to as an eye light. We're going to go through both examples with this light, but first let's talk about the light a little bit. It comes packaged in this nice case. You have the light right here. You have the cables to power it. You have a nice little reflector that can snap onto the light. That's going to direct and increase its output. And then you have a nice little diffuser that can actually just snap onto the reflector. That's if you want to soften the light a little bit. This is going to come in handy when we're doing an eye light. It also has USB-C power, so you can attach it to a battery bank or a V-mount battery. And it's a bi-color light. I believe the range is 2700 Kelvin all the way up to 6500 Kelvin. So it has a really nice range from very warm to very cool. So before we get into the use case scenarios, let's see how bright this thing actually is. Now, I read lights in f-stops. If you haven't seen my video on lighting with the Nikon ZR, or basically how to use a light meter, I highly recommend checking it out right now. But basically, I judge my lights by f-stops. I know there's lux and lumens and foot candles, but my brain just kind of works in f-stops and t-stops. That's going to give me the best idea of the output the light has compared to other lights that I'm used to using. So let's shut everything off here and then see what this thing's reading. All right, we have the light here. Let's go turn it on. See how bright this thing is. All right, obviously that thing packs a punch. Right now I'd say it's about 3 feet away from me, just blasting right at my face. We have my light meter here, so let's take a reading. Wow, we are at an F22. Granted, there's other ambient light in the room, but I'm used to measuring this room, and it usually reads about an F28 or an F4. So for this thing 3 feet away from me to reach an F22 and be that small is really impressive. We're at a 5500 Kelvin right now, so let's lower it all the way down and see how the output changes. All right, now we're at 2700 Kelvin. Let's see how the output changed. It did not change at all. We are still at an F22. So this thing has tremendous power across the entire Kelvin range. Actually, this thing's so bright, I feel like I might be able to replace it as my key light. I'm just gonna try that really quick. All right, I replaced it with my key light, and we are still getting a pretty good exposure on my face, and it's going through 2 layers of diffusion. Even with 2 layers of diffusion, we are still reading at an F16. That is incredible. I'm actually kind of speechless. The output of this thing is almost similar to my Omron 200D, which is a pretty big, bulky light. The fact that I could bring this light with me and comfortably set it as a key light is pretty amazing, considering I can fit it in my back pocket. It also has built-in effects, which is pretty cool. Pretty much your standard, like paparazzi, lightning, TV glow, etc. All right, now I have the light here and we're back to my original key light. So yes, my original key is brighter, but it should be. It's an Omron 200D. Again, the fact that this little thing comes close is pretty wild. You can see here it has a cooling fan to keep it cool, and just a very easy interface. We have the Kelvin adjustment here and the intensity adjustment here. We also have the mode. This is for if you want to use effects or not. And we have the power button. On the side, we have the DC in if you want to plug it into an outlet. And then we also have a Type-C USB. So like I previously mentioned, you could use a gobo tie and attach like a little power bank to this and keep it super mobile. So how would I use a light like this? Well, as you saw, you can actually use it as a key light. I didn't even realize it was that versatile until I tested that out pretty much in front of you guys. But normally how I'd use a smaller light like this is for things like we previously mentioned, an edge light or a hair light, and a catch light or an eye light. So we're gonna test both examples right now. The beauty about a light this powerful is you can use it as a hair light even in environments that are this bright. With daylight coming through the window, and a key light that's probably reading around an f22. It's also a light that barely weighs anything, so you can really rig it. I'll actually show you guys right now how I'm gonna rig it as my hair light. We're gonna use a Cardellini clamp and actually just clamp it to where my shears are hung. I'm gonna pan up so you guys can take a look. So I'm just gonna put it up here. This little reflector actually has a cool way of popping out. You just push it in and then twist. So it comes off really easily. And I'm taking it out so this just has a bit of a wider spread to use as my hair light. It does have screws on the bottom and both sides, which is great, but it doesn't come with any kind of built-in way to mount it. So I'm just gonna use one that I already have. All right, we got that clamped on, and now I can clamp it with my Cardellini up there. There we go, very simple. Now we just have to run power. Just gonna string this up and over. We're all set, now we'll turn it on. All right, now let's frame back up. Whoa, okay, I just stared at the light. Okay, there we have it. So now I have a pretty strong, nice backlight. We'll turn it on and off real quick to show you the difference. And don't mind the cable. Obviously on the day, that's something we would clean up. But for the purpose of demonstrating this light, let's not worry about it. So here's what it looks like off. And just so you can see what it's doing a little more, let's drop the Kelvin down to 2700 Kelvin. Now we're gonna throw it on. So when we throw it on, now we can see that warm glow that's giving me an edge. I can put the reflector on and direct it even more. Now we're getting a really sharp edge light on me. So pretty impressive light. To be able to battle all the rest of the light in this room, the daylight coming through, my little background light hitting the shears, and my key light, which again is reading around an f22. And this thing still powers through to give me a nice sharp hair light. Pretty impressive. Now the other trick you can use with a hair light, I picked up from the Wondering DP, who actually picked it up from another DP. And it's actually placing your edge or your hair light on the ground and shooting up at your subject. That's to have the light avoid hitting too much of the subject's face or casting a shadow with the nose when they turn their head. If you put it on the ground, your shoulder actually blocks that. So your subject will have a little more room to turn their head without the light casting any shadows or having unwanted spill onto the face. Let's go ahead and try that right now. So this is with the light on the ground. Now obviously it's not going to be as toppy, so we're not seeing as much of that edge light. But in a dark environment, it will definitely stand out. So let's go ahead and black out behind me and then you can really see what it's doing. All right, now we got a moody, nice black background. Let's go ahead and fire up that backlight again. All right, now you can get a little bit more of a sense of what it's doing. It is giving me a little bit of an edge, but ideally you want the light a lot further back. It's almost pointing directly up at my body right now. Now, if I had more hair, you'd probably see it in the hair a lot more. But again, this is a technique where you'll probably want to back the light off at least 5 feet or more. So let's jump to the other way we might want to use a light like this. And that's for an eye light, sometimes referred to as a catch light. Now in this scenario, we have an eye light because my key light source is right here, and it's punching through a nice big sheet of diffusion. So I have a really nice catch light in my eye. But there are some scenarios where you might have a hard time getting that eye light. One of these scenarios is when your subject is top lit. Now I love soft top light. I love the way it looks on faces, and sometimes I just want to keep it that way. But because the light is coming directly from above, you often use a catch light. Now if you've seen my previous videos, we already did a technique I learned from Bradford Young, and that's how to do a key light with a soft top light and still maintain a catch light, while also getting rid of any glare if your subject is wearing glasses. Now that technique was using skip bounce, and that skip bounce actually acted as a key light as well. But what if you just want a very moody soft top light, and you don't want to necessarily add a key light? Basically, you want your soft top light to be the key light, but you still want an eye light. That's where a light like this comes in handy. So first, let's go ahead and set up our soft top light. Give me 1 second. Oh, a first AD would hate that. Not 1 second. Give me like 5 minutes. Be right back. All right, nice, beautiful, soft top key light. Now I love this look. Obviously it's pretty specific. I wouldn't use it for everything, but for any scene, I do love starting from a place of a soft top light and then adding your key light to taste. But let's say it's a horror film or a sci-fi or some kind of scene that calls for this type of lighting. But maybe you want an eye light. Well, right now we don't have one. Well, that's where the NEEWER light comes in handy. We're gonna go ahead and pop this diffuser on the front, and then we're gonna place it on a light stand right by camera. Oftentimes a light like this is even placed on the camera, especially if you're working handheld. That way, no matter where you're pointing the camera, whoever's in front of it will have some type of catch light. The trick is you wanna find the balance where it's not hitting your subject too much, but it is bright enough to give them an eye light. So let's go ahead and turn it on. All right, now that's at full power. Obviously it's just blasting me with light, but even this isn't that bad with that diffuser on the front. And we definitely have an eye light now, but let's dial it way down to get the look that we're after. All right, now we lowered it to 20% and we raised the light a little bit. That way it's coming more from the top and kind of accenting what the top light is already doing to us. You can see here that I do now have a catch light, and it's also not just blasting me in the face, which is certainly something you do not want to do to your talent. Generally, you don't want your actors to go blind. But at 20% with the diffuser on, this is a pretty nice look. It's not blinding me. It's not outputting too much light to just be blasting us full frontal. Whoa. That did sound wrong, but it's accurate. It's not outputting too much light as to wash our face out, and we're still maintaining that top soft light look, but now we have a catch light. So those are the two ways I would use a small light like this. But as we saw, the NEEWER FS60B is so powerful that you could even use it as a key light in a daylight interior. Not to mention, you can pick this light up for around $100. And from what I can tell, the color accuracy is really good too. It wasn't really creating any ugly color on my skin or anything like that. So at around $100, this light would be a hard one to beat. Incredibly versatile, super light, you can power it by a battery, and you can use it for pretty much anything. That's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, beam me up.